Alright, peace and greetings, YouTubers. So the Philando Castile situation, I have the same opinion that I had with the Terrence Crutcher verdict, or not the Terrence Crutcher verdict, because he didn't do anything wrong. He just was black and got killed. The officer that killed Terrence Crutcher, when that verdict came out and he got off, the same opinion I had last month. And it's just, I saw it coming, and I have no expectation for anything in America when it comes to justice, when it comes to anything with common sense, when it comes to anything of good nature. I just have no expectation, and it's been that way for a long time. And in addition to feeling really bad for the family, because that's one thing to see your family member be killed online, and you see it from beginning to end, and the world sees it, and everybody is so outraged, and then to watch, that officer just get off of, acquitted of all charges. That's a hurt. That's a hurt that's deep. That's a hurt that makes you want to go out and do something crazy like that. That's a hurt that people shouldn't have to experience. And I mean, black people experience this every day, and it's getting to the point where, I noticed the media doesn't talk about these stories as much because I think they're afraid of what black people just may possibly start doing. And if you compare 2017 to what was going on in 2012, 2013, they're not really reporting all of the police killings and all the things that are happening as much, mainly because Trump is on the news all day, every day. But, I think there's a fear that they don't want to repeat of Baltimore, they don't want to repeat of Ferguson, so they're cutting back on how much they report. And it's crazy, but, in addition to feeling bad for the family, I honestly feel bad for black people who still wake up with a glimmer of hope for America to be this great, happy, utopian place where everybody can just love each other and be happy, and and there's no structural and institutionalized racism and all that stuff like that. I feel bad for black people who have that hope, because I'm like, you're gonna always be disappointed. And so a lot of the ones who really are I guess the most hurt when these situations happen are the ones who have expectations, the ones who have a hope for this country, the ones who really believe that, progress is a police officer being charged for killing somebody, and then you're holding on to the glimmer of hope that something's going to happen, and then the officer gets off, and then they get their job back and they get a promotion. Like, that's the worst hurt you can have. And so it's just, it's crazy. I used to be somebody who really had like hope for the country, I guess, and I think the final nail in the coffin was the Zimmerman verdict. By then I was like, oh, I'm over this crap, F this country. And it's crazy, I remember that day like it was nobody's business. Like, I had one of my good friends that just graduated from college, with a 4.0 by the way, and, we were having a graduation party, and then the verdict came in that night, and I was so mad. Because even if you follow me, like if you notice with these little killings and everything, I used to be a lot more animated on these videos. The Trayvon Martin video, I was over there talking a million words a minute. I can't believe they do this, because I just knew they were going to get Zimmerman. And so when Zimmerman got off, there was such a hurt and like a rage. And if I ever wanted to do something crazy, it would have been that night. Fortunately, I had called my father. I was like, Dad, listen, I don't know you better give me some words of encouragement, because I don't know what's about to happen. I wasn't about to kill nobody or nothing, but I definitely wanted to bust a few windows out, I'll tell you that. And so it's just crazy. I feel really bad, though, for people who still have that hope, because it digs into your soul. And every single time you get your hopes up and you're disappointed, it's just the worst. And why I say that is not to make people want to just give up, but I just want people to recognize the difference of the three elements of racism that exist in this country. There's individual racism. And a lot of people who have this glimmer of hope are hoping that individual racism will go away, and they forget that there's an institutionalized racism, which is the second one, and a structural form of racism, which is the third one that exists, that continues to push and endorse the ideologies of that individual racism that exists. So let me just break down these three real quick, and this video is not going to be long because I'm over this, but of course, so again, I feel bad for those kind of people, because it's just like, they have such good intentions, but the way that the country's set up, it's just not going to happen. But individual racism is basically, you got an opinion about somebody, you don't like them. Individual racism is, basically racism without power. It's almost like prejudice, but it's, you call me the N-word. It's going to be some of the white people who are going to come on this channel, and they're going to call me the N-word on the comment section, or say something crazy, or oh, he deserved it, or blah blah blah. And then some of them are so pressed they go and they dig through my other videos and comment on those ones as well, just to troll, because they have nothing better to do. People with no power. Okay, that's the whole individual racism. Then you have institutionalized racism. Institutionalized racism involves policy and laws. So like mandatory minimum sentencing is an example of institutionalized racism, especially when it targets certain groups of people. So like the whole cocaine versus crack, that's very symbolic of institutionalized racism. Okay, so you get a harsher sentence for crack than you do for cocaine. And of course the question is, well, who's most likely to do crack? People who don't make the same, they're not in the same tax bracket as somebody who most often will do cocaine. And so, okay, well, it's usually black people and the Latino community, and usually communities that don't really have a lot of wealth and everything like that. Okay, let's make it more dangerous for that. Let's start the war on drugs, which your current head of the Department of Justice is relaunching. But that's an example of institutionalized racism. This is how it becomes structural. It becomes structural when money becomes involved, when it becomes the way of life for an entire country. And so let's just say there's a for-profit prison that makes a buckload of money off of the creation of license plates. And so this for-profit prison, the people who are on the board of trustees, they're like, we need to bring up the revenue. People just aren't committing enough crime in this town. We need more revenue to get some butts in the cells and get some butts in the bed. So you know what? The people on the board of trustees, they make friends with elected officials, or they make bribes. And you know what? I can help you win this election. I can give you this. I can give you that. And so the elected officials are bought out by people from all these corporations that do different things. And then the elected officials, they want to keep that position. They want to keep that money that's coming into them. If you just look at Congress in general, go look up your favorite congressman, your favorite senator. I can guarantee you right now, there's 2 or 3 or 4 corporations in their pocket helping them make some of the decisions that they're making. Ask Paul Ryan. But anyway, so these elected officials, they're like, oh, we need some more butts in the jails, huh? So then they reach out to the law enforcement, everybody over there, and the people that are elected in the law enforcement, people that can be promoted and appointed. Like, okay, listen, there's a quota we need to meet. If you guys want to get this, if you want to continue to get the funding that you're supposed to be getting, you need to be doing your job. You need to be doing things, this, that, and third. So now that message gets down to the police force or the police chief. And the police chief is telling all his officers and all the beginners who are making $22,000 a year, pissed off at the world already, you need to meet this quota, you need to do this, you need to really step it up, or you're not getting that pension, you're not getting that Christmas bonus, you're not getting that promotion, you're going to continuing to only work this certain zone that you don't want to work in, you're not going to get any of the action. And so before you know it, the police step it up a bit. They arrest a few more people, they really go out looking for crack, they kicking in everybody's door and this, that, and the third, and it's a cycle that works its way right back up to the prison system. So like that right there is something that's structural, because you're taking people out of their households, you're locking them up. That's changing the structure and the dynamic of different families and demographics. That's messing up the people who are in the jails, because after that, boom, what job are they going to have? And then before you know it, they can't get a job anywhere. They have to go into some kind of system, but they can't get in the system. They can't get benefits because they have a felony. So now they go out and they end up committing more crime. And then boom, here come those same police, snatch them right back up and put them right back in. Like that's an example of structural. And so, or even if you're just looking at, again, the current head of the Department of Justice, somebody who absolutely could give 2 shits about justice, is in charge of making sure that justice is for everybody. And so all of that is structural and it's institutionalized, and there's elements of individual racism in it. And so, of course, it's interesting because every time you have these conversations, white people don't seem to understand the difference between the 3. And so every single time somebody addresses the institutionalized and the structural, because we could give 2 shits about you not liking us. Who cares? You ain't got no power behind it. But then when you add that power, and you institutionalize things, and there's policies and laws created, and you strip away the Voting Rights Act and things like that, and you go to that structural level, that's what we're fighting against. But white people, for some reason, just they never put all 3, they never look at the different categories, and they think somebody's attacking them. Just like right now, somebody's on here writing that I'm probably the most racist person they've ever met, and blah, 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 and they'll make a Martin Luther King quote, and, he had a dream, and you're definitely waking him up right now, some bullshit they'll write. And it is what it is, but I really feel bad for his family. That's tough. That's really tough. Between that one and that clip of Eric Garner's son crying at his dad's funeral, that one got to my heart. I was like, oh, that's horrible. Anyway, America, I feel like America is low-key existing off of its own racism at this point, because America has nothing to offer the rest of the world. They're not number 1 in education anymore. A lot of the things that America once shined on, they're not shining in anymore. The other countries have caught up, and they're doing whatever they do. Literally, the only thing keeping this country afloat is structural racism. That's what's keeping the money going. And it's evident. And so, when everything caves in, it'll be an interesting sight to see. That's all I'm going to say. But again, white people, y'all need to be praising God every day that black people don't retaliate for the shit that y'all be doing. It's just not our nature to be violent people. Y'all don't believe that because of the way that the system is set up that constantly keeps us locked up or keeps us in a position where we're going to become triggers to crime. But, y'all need to be thanking God every day. Because at one point, if you thought Dallas was something, somebody is going to lose their mind. If Timothy McVeigh, who wasn't even really oppressed or anything, was that angry that he could go and blow up an entire federal building from just the fact that he didn't like that there was other people in the country who weren't white. Okay? Imagine somebody who's tired of watching everybody who looks like them get killed all the time, and then they get blamed for being killed and everything like that. Somebody's going to lose their mind at some point. The mental health of everybody ain't on the same level as mine. So I'm just saying, y'all better start saying a prayer. Y'all need to... I'm not trying to put that in the atmosphere. I'm not trying to speak anything bad into existence, but listen, The same way that y'all are so terrified of ISIS and Al Qaeda and the Taliban and all that crap, especially ISIS. I'm like, ISIS would have never happened had we not went over there blowing up and terrorizing everybody. It is what it is. Anyway, I'm out. Subscribe.